Regretful Mom. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and click the link below to check out my new podcast. I hope that being a mother is not a reason for moms to kick me out of this community. It's true, I have a kid, but I regret being a mother big time. I guess I can sometimes share how someone who never wanted to have a kid ended up having one, but for now, I just thought I would introduce myself and being open to share some truth of how much having kids suck. If I can just help at least one person who is doubting their gut because of what family and people say, then I consider that a victory. I wish I had heard more about what being a mother is truly like. That would have probably kept me away from it. I'm open to any questions you have. Thanks for sharing. It's important to discuss these things. Do you have anyone to share this with in real life? I often get the impression regretful mothers are shamed and ridiculed beneath the ground by people around them once they open up about this. Basically to silence them so other women don't get any ideas. It's definitely not an easy topic to talk about, specifically with other parents, old people, or relatives. I do have some colleagues and friends that I feel comfortable speaking with about this. They're not that many, and I don't see them that often, but they're my go-to people when it comes to this matter. I also met other mothers online that feel the same way, and we hear each other. I really count on them as well. But I do agree with what you say. It's not very accepted by the general audience that a mother regrets having kids. I think there are many who feel like this that are afraid or embarrassed to say so. I probably count as an old person, very nearly 64. I'm certainly not going to judge you for being basically conned by society into thinking that you should have children. I never wanted any and never had any. I was very lucky that I trusted my own instincts and not the people who told me that motherhood was wonderful. I also knew it was a 24/7, 365 days a year job with no pay and lousy perks. I'm so sorry you found out the con too late. All I can do is hope that you bring your children up to respect their own instincts and not necessarily to do what society deems they should. Thank you for your willingness to share. Are you honest about these things with people in your life who are considering having children? We Childfree people get a barrage of comments from parents telling us to have kids and how wonderful it is. But very few parents will ever say, take my advice, don't do it. I'm sure that will be appreciated by any fence sitters in your life. Just a few days ago, I was arguing with someone in a different subreddit who was trying to claim that 100% of people who don't have kids later regret it. Obviously, we in r/Childfree know this isn't true, but I was astonished by the number of people chiming in to agree with him. Their proof was that they never heard anyone say that they regretted having children. That's because most parents who feel this way don't announce it publicly. However, they do share these very private feelings with their therapists, like me. I'm a child and family therapist, and the kids I work with are very high maintenance. I can't even count how many times I've heard, this is not what I signed up for, or I can't go on living like this. Many parents are at their wits' end, even when their child isn't disabled. I know my perspective is extreme due to my particular background, but I think unless you feel like your life has no other purpose besides having children, and you are fully willing and ready to care for a disabled child, potentially for the rest of your life, you should not have kids. Those people should really widen their horizons. There are many parents regretting their choice, and there's even research about this phenomenon. I read a book about it called Regretful Mothers. I don't think it is necessary to be a therapist to find that this is a sad reality. Of course, a family therapist would be more knowledgeable about this. The book is actually called Regretting Motherhood by Orna Donath. I try to be careful when I speak about this, specifically with people who really want to be parents. I think it's as offensive to receive comments pushing you to have kids as telling you having kids is the worst thing you can do. I find it disrespectful for people to express their thoughts on what anyone does with their life without being asked. In the end, everyone is different and has a different view on this topic. That said, I give it my honest opinion to anyone that asks or wants to know. Specifically if I run into someone that does not want to have kids. I do try to share my experience because I think it helps to validate that desire. That is why I joined this community. If you guys want to be talked out of having babies, I am your lady, LOL. You seem like a kind and respectful person. Sure, generalizing parenthood or telling people what to do or not to do is not appropriate. However, sharing your own experience and feelings in an honest and genuine manner is definitely a positive. People may temporarily freak out because it goes against the societal norms they live with their whole life, but they will still get a new perspective that might be very beneficial to them. I think this is a good comment because it also highlights that even though, yes, saying to someone who really wants kids, hey, don't have any because it's really bad, can be disrespectful depending on how you do it. But also, it's different from telling someone that they shouldn't have kids when they don't want them or when they tell you that they don't want them, because it's really the norm to want kids. Like, everyone expects everyone else to have kids, even though it's literally impossible for everyone in the world to have kids. It just statistically is impossible. It's the norm to want kids, so it is different, but don't do it in a rude way, obviously. I would share or ask people why they want kids, or if they know what it's like, or, what they think about people not having kids. Because if they think that people who don't have kids are miserable, then it's a dead ringer that they actually don't want kids, but they don't know it, because they're definitely projecting and they don't realize. It's annoying. It's a long story, maybe I'll post it someday, but my daughter was adopted from me in October. Best decision of my life. I've been considering it since before she was even born, but was pressured for 2.5 years to keep her. I saw a therapist because I was losing my freaking mind being a single mom, trying to go to college so I could become a nurse, trying to work and somehow have time for myself on top of it. She judged me for considering adoption and told me I'm just being irrational, then told me to drop out of college so I'd be less stressed. I left and reported her immediately. No thank you. Best response. Do not let therapists tell you what to do with your life, especially when you're struggling. Consider all the options. Go with what your patient wants. That's insane. It will probably make you feel better. My very honest sister told me that she had no idea if she loved her son when he was first born. She said he was a complete stranger and she didn't know him yet. They turned out to be getting along really well so far, but my sister has been very real that motherhood was not this magical, mystical, sublime connection BS that our mother said it was. I had my own reasons to doubt my mother's version of motherhood, having lived my own childhood, of course. Anyway, it occurs to me that some people just might not like their kids and vice versa, and that would make it really hard to navigate parental obligations. So try a good therapist, someone who can let you be real about how this is difficult. Good luck. How did your relationships with people, friends, and family change after you had your child? What lasting impacts did pregnancy have on your body? Like something you weren't expecting that you weren't warned about? Do you have something small that makes you happy, like a hobby, a favorite song, or a funny movie? Relationships changed significantly. I wouldn't even know where to start. I just stopped hanging out with lots of people I enjoyed, mostly because of our routines don't ever cross anymore. Also, I find it more difficult to avoid my family. I don't get along that well with them, but you know how it gets. They want to see their grandson, nephew, etc. And he's still too young to be by himself with his extended family, so that sucks. I can't think of any lasting impact to my body, honestly. It did change a bit. Not much, but I didn't really care. It doesn't bother me. I wasn't expecting my boobs to shrink that much, lol. That I did not expect, but it's not like it bothers me or anything. I have no problem with my body whatsoever. Definitely have hobbies. I like yoga and meditation, cooking, music, dancing, gardening, composting, and traveling. Also very fond of lucid dreaming. First years, it was almost impossible to enable any of the above between my full-time job and motherhood. This last year, I managed to recover some of my hobbies back. Would love to have more time to spend on them though, probably in a couple more years. What I wish I knew before motherhood was how much C-section post-surgery hurts, especially when you can't rest because you need to take care of a newborn. Number 2, breastfeeding challenges. It's not easy as plug and play as it seems, and huge demand. 3, how lonely it can be, incredible need of support. I used to be very comfortable on my own before. 4, puerperium, which is when the organs of the mother goes back to its original conformation or the original locations that it was in before pregnancy. It was rearranged during pregnancy, and then puerperium is when it goes back to the original places. Not sure how this is not taken seriously and communicated properly by health professionals. It is a serious thing. Doesn't last 40 days, and mental health is really on thin ice. It lasted 2.5 years for me. I can't say I was surprised by the way motherhood is as compared to the magazines. Even while pregnant, I was sure it would not be like that for me. Mostly because I could never relate to women who wanted to have kids. I was expecting this to be tough, but it turned out to be overwhelming.